Hello and welcome to the second episode of Think Big podcast. I'm your host, Alicia Cookson, and today I just kind of want to talk about a few things that have sort of been on my mind during this lockdown. I'm just going to get straight in there. So the thing that I've felt with lockdown is people cope with it in different ways. You know, some people go for the walks, some people do the Joe Wicks workout. Yes, Alice, I'm on about you. And, you know, some people like to cook things and bake and whatever else. But is it just me? Or is anyone else spending, like, money on unnecessary, like, stuff? Because I just keep buying. I just can't help it. I just keep buying stuff. Like, it's not unnecessary, you know. It's, like, nice bits of jewellery. I'm so addicted to jewellery at the minute. I don't know what's going on with me. But I absolutely love it. But I think it's my way of sort of coping with it. Like, just buying, you know, little bits and bobs. Because I think when you buy it, you get that, like, initial satisfaction of, oh, something's coming in the post. And then, obviously, like, with the delays and stuff, I don't actually mind the delays. But it just gives me something to do. Like, every time the postman comes, like, I get really, really excited. And then if he doesn't, or postman or woman, that matter, but around here we have a postman. But yeah, I just get really excited and I like run to the door and just expect something to come through. And when it doesn't, it's like really rains on my parade. But I love getting little deliveries through. But my friend Alice, she sent me some nice little bits of jewellery to add to my little bits of my little collection and stuff. So that was lovely of her. And I got sent flowers the other day from my best mate Bella. They look gorgeous, by the way. They've perked up now. I was looking at them and I was a little bit like, oh, are they going to be okay? Because they've been in a box. But no, they've perked up, given them some water and some food. And yeah, but that's my way of coping with lockdown, with just buying stuff. And I've started going on daily walks because I was one of the people I prefer to go to the gym, and obviously like gyms aren't accessible at the minute for, you know, the obvious reasons. And I feel like it's just like a separate place where I leave like all, you know, my sort of like baggage behind, and that's where I just clear my head. Whereas like when I go on a walk around like my hometown or wherever, I don't know, I just don't feel like it's the same. But, you know, because obviously we can't go out with this lockdown and stuff, it's just, you know, really sort of nice to just have a daily walk by myself. And every time I go for a walk, my nan goes, can I come with you? And like, bless her, like she can't walk very far. Because of her medical conditions and stuff, but, you know, she's like my little warm-up at the start. So we just go to like the bottom of the street and back. And then I go on my proper daily walk, and it's just, like I said, I've never been one of those people that just goes on loads of walks, because I think, you know, I'm not just going to become like a fitness fanatic just because like there's a lockdown. Like, I'm going to stay true to myself, but these past couple of days I've been going on walks and they're really benefiting me. It's my sort of like dedicated me time where I just get to think about what I want, just have that, you know, sense of like detachment from, you know, like family life and, you know, the house and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been really good getting out and about. But I think people deal with it in their own ways, like I was saying. But for me, like, I'm really struggling with this sort of sense of like normality, and I'm trying to give myself some sort of routine by getting up at, you know, sort of the same time, going to bed at the same time. But I just feel like every day is just rolling into one, and I know I'm not the only one, and I know that everyone's sort of going through it. Like, I didn't mind it at first. I didn't mind lockdown because I quite enjoyed it. I was like, it gives me an excuse to do nothing, catch up on sleep, you know, not have to worry about what I'm wearing, and I can just chill and just, you know, like, just basically let myself go in a good way, but just sort of have that time to just rest, relax, sort of like recover. Yeah, like I said, I did a lot of journaling when it was nice, but today's like the first day that it's not been like great weather. Which we've been very lucky, to be honest, to have such good weather. Like, you know, in the UK we don't really get like many spells of sunshine and whatever, so we've been really, really fortunate. But yeah, I thought I'm not going to be one of these like fitness fanatics. I tried to be. I started with like a few YouTube workouts. I can't even remember what they were called, but they were like to songs, because I thought if I put them to sort of like, like songs that are in the charts and things like that, and just work out that it'll, because I love singing. Oh my god, I love singing. I'm probably not any good at it, but I love singing. So I thought, I can have a bit of a sing song, a bit of a boogie, a bit of a dance. Oh my god, they were so hard. I got like 2 minutes into like maybe a 5 minute or a 10 minute workout. I was just like, no, sod that. Can't be bothered with that. But no, I've just been trying to keep fit in some way I can. And like I was saying with the whole like normality thing, I did enjoy it at the beginning, but now I'm getting a bit bored of it. But the other thing that I kind of wanted to say was, it's been really, really hard. Sort of, I lost my grandma at the end of February, and because of the circumstances, her funeral wasn't till like almost 3 weeks after, and it felt like it took forever to come around, and say like our sort of final goodbyes. But then after that, like the funeral was on Tuesday, and I went back to uni on the Thursday, and I think I went back too soon. But I just wanted some sort of structure and some sort of routine and some sort of form of normality, and all my friends were sort of missing me at uni, and I was missing them, and I just wanted to get back and see them and just have a laugh and go out and just carry on with the uni sort of lifestyle. But I came back on the Thursday, went into uni on the Friday, and had a counselling appointment with the student welfare team, just to sort of check in and how things were, since obviously like losing my grandma. And then we had the weekend, which was probably one of the best weekends of my life. Like, me and a few others in 501 just sort of sat down, made some beats, and I can't even sing, so it was just a laugh, and just had a few drinks and just chilled out, and it was a really good vibe. But yeah, and then sort of come Monday, I went into uni and I didn't feel too great. I started to have a fever. Like, my fever was like 39.3. And I started to feel like really unwell. Like, my whole body was just aching. It might have been COVID, I don't know, but I haven't been ill like that. I hope it wasn't, but obviously I'm alright now. I'm hoping it was just like a really bad cold, because that's the thing when you are grieving, or forming, sort of trying to overcome anything that's sort of emotional. Your immune system is a lot weaker than it normally would be. So I'm hoping it was just cold. It probably just was. But I started to feel unwell, and then I sort of spent the rest of the week, because obviously I didn't want to go in. I didn't want to, just taking precautions. So I decided to like self-isolate for 7 days. And that was the only time I went into uni was Friday and Monday, and then before you know it, I was back home again. And I moved in with my grandparents, because my nan's got Alzheimer's, and it's a lot of kind of stress and pressure just on my granddad. Like, we used to have some sort of respite for like my granddad and for my nan, but obviously with this this coronavirus, all sort of groups for like with the elderly have obviously come to a sort of standstill. So I thought I'd move in and sort of like help out a little bit, and it's been really good actually. Like, I've done a lot of the cooking, tried to help clean up and stuff. So I've just really enjoyed spending time with like my nan and granddad, because I used to feel so guilty, especially when I was at uni. Like, they'd ring me and I'd ring them and chat to them, but sort of inside I was thinking, this is, especially with my nan having Alzheimer's, like, this is sort of maybe the last few kind of like years that I might have with her. So, and I'm at uni, but you like, people have always said to me, like, you've got to carry on with your life. Like, you can't just put everything on hold. And she was in a a sort of healthy frame of mind, she'd have wanted me to go. But no, it's been really good, like catching up on lost time, spending time with them, having a laugh, just sort of chilling out really. So yeah, things are really good. But yeah, like I was saying, getting back to the whole like sense of normality, you know, with this sort of lockdown, I haven't had like a minute of it. So for me, and especially like my mum and, you know, the people that, you know, my grandma's, you know, lives she sort of touched on, we haven't had this, you know, sense of normality. We've just been trying to fight our way through the chaos and just make sense of it. And grief's such a weird thing. Like, I remember when I went back to uni, I said to my counsellor, I said, am I grieving right? Like, I don't think I'm doing it right. Like, because there's been times when it's been like a really emotional and really upsetting sort of, you know, couple of days or, you know, sort of moments, and with sort of like, you know, legal procedures and stuff, but I've just not been able to cry. And then I think with me, I just completely like bottle it all up, and I just sort of store it within, and then, you know, once there's enough sort of like fuel, that's when it just all explodes and sort of comes out really, which I just sort of felt numb to it. Like we lost my grandma in sort of really sort of shocking and traumatic events. Like she was killed in a car accident, and she was the only fatality, you know. And at first I was angry. I was really, really angry. I was really angry, like, why my grandma? She was fit, she was healthy, there was nothing wrong with her, you know, she was like the life and soul of sort of like my mum's side, and she was the one that sort of, you know, kept everyone going and made sure that she was alright. But I'm a really sort of spiritual person, and I have really, really good faith, you know, in, I like I've said before, I don't think there's a God. I think there's something above us that is, you know, of a higher being, you know, has more power than us, you know, whether if that's the universe, whether if it's a source or whatever. But it really, really tested my faith, and it still is, to be honest, because I don't understand it. I don't get it. You know, like, my question is, why leave my nan on my dad's side, you know, in a state of sort of suffering and pain every day she wakes up, she doesn't know where she is. You know, that's no quality of life. But yet my grandma, who was, you know, still going on the bus to, you know, our sort of like local town every day, and having a coffee with her friends, and just having a natter, and, you know, just sort of getting out and about. Why take someone like that? Sorry, I'm getting upset. Oh, this is what I wanted this podcast to be. I wanted it to be real. I wanted it to be, you know, kind of really raw. And, you know, that's the thing that I've really, really found, you know, quite touching, that people have said, like, my best mate said, you know, we listen to it as a family, and I'm really close with my best friend's dad, and he said, bloody hell, it's like she's in the room with us, you know. And I just wanted it to be me, like me through and through. And, you know, I didn't want to edit it. I didn't want to, you know, make up this perfect sort of like life and that everything's fine. You know, sometimes it is, like I'm okay and I'm good, and, you know, but I wanted to show the other bits, like both sides, because I think now, just in, you know, sort of like this day and age, like people just see, you know, the glossed over versions of everyone. But I'm just really, really struggling with the why. Like, I don't see it. You know, people say, oh, God works in mysterious ways, and, you know, we don't understand things, but in sort of time we will. And, you know, I hope to anything that, you know, that it'll all become sort of apparent, and, you know, we'll see the reason why that she had to leave us. But yeah, it just baffles me sometimes. But I think she went at a good point, and I know that's a really weird thing to say. You've got to look at the positives out of every situation, you know. Though I don't look at things anymore and think, oh my god, this is such a, you know, such a bad situation. This is a horrible thing. I look at it and I go, what is this teaching me? What is this trying to, you know, make me learn? Like, what do I need to? How do I need to develop? Sort of, you know, all the bad things, if you want to call them bad things, but I'd like to just call them events. All the events that happen in your life shape you as a person, and it's just part of character building. That's all it is. It's just, it is tough. Like, I'm not going to deny that it's not tough, because believe me, I've been there. I've got the t-shirt, but it is tough, but it makes you into such a stronger person. Like, people say to me, like, I don't know how you do, you know, what you do. I don't know how you're carrying on. I don't know how you're still here. And, you know, to be honest, I don't know either, but I know that somebody's looking after me, or maybe I just do have that sort of inner strength that they're talking about. But the way that she died, it was instant. You know, she'd have looked up and that would have been that. And in a way, I'm quite glad that it was instant, and then there wasn't any pain, there wasn't any suffering. You know, she wouldn't have had time to be scared, and she'd have just, you know, that's it, gone. And, you know, that's a really, like, I know it sounds weird, but that is a really positive thing, because we don't want our loved ones to be in pain, and we don't want them to suffer, and that's why at the minute, with this sort of coronavirus, I know this sounds really bad, but I can't get sort of bogged down with the headlines and things, because it just makes me depressed. It really, really does. And I know that might seem a little, I do check in on it, you know, sort of when the news is on, things like that, but I feel like if I allow myself to sort of really, you know, sort of like open myself up to what's going on in the world too much, then it will just really get me down, and it will just remind me of, you know, sort of like losing my grandma. And I know it's really bad, because people are losing loved ones every single day, and it's horrible. It really, really is. It's just, you just got to look on sort of the positives. But like I was saying, she did go instantly, which is a good thing. And she was 75, and I think that's a really good point in your life. You know, you've had your sort of your childhood years, your teenage years, you know, your sort of 30s, becoming a parent, you know, retiring, having grandchildren. You know, she travelled the world with my grandma. Like I wrote her tribute in the paper. You know, she went from places like Barbados to the Great Wall of China. She went to the Antarctic. She went to loads of different places on cruises, and, you know, she went to Italy, and she saw the world, and she loved culture. She really, really loved culture, and learning about, you know, how different people live and what they believe in. And she always had a sort of like thirst for knowledge. You know, she was always reading books, and she made me laugh. Like, she'd always do the crosswords in the paper. Oh, give me a minute. She'd always do the crosswords sort of like in the paper, and she'd always say to me, you know, I said, why do you do them? Like, she said, well, it keeps my brain active, like, you know. She said, I'll be doing these till the day I die. And she did. You know, she'd get pissed off sometimes. She'd be like, oh, I can't do it, give up, or I'll come back to it in like an hour or two. And she would, but she'd always keep busy. She'd always keep sort of active, and she'd always keep, you know, she always looked after other people. And that's the sort of thing that I realised, that now that she's gone, like my parents are divorced, and I didn't realise how much of an important part she played in my life, because I absolutely admired how, you know, sort of bolshy she was, and how bold and how confident. You know, she wouldn't let anybody tell her otherwise. You know, she wouldn't be told what to do. She'd make her own mind up about what she was doing, where she was going, what she was wearing. I miss her so much. I really do. I think at the minute I'm just really numb to things. I'm just, like I said, just taking each day as it comes, and I'm just plodding on. And I am actually enjoying this time. And I know it sounds weird, but I'm working on myself, and I'm working on things that I need to maybe improve and sort of like heal myself. And I quite like being in my own little cocoon, with my nan and granddad. It's quite nice, but yeah, she won't be told otherwise, which is what I admired about her. But my mum has her own life and her own sort of whatever, and my dad has his own. And like my nan and granddad on my dad's side are really involved, like they're really close. But my grandma was just this sort of like neutral sort of like middle ground, like she was Switzerland, if you wanted to call it that. She just didn't take anybody's side. She just she was her own. Like, she stood on her own 2 feet, and she really, really stuck to what she believed in. And now she's gone, I don't feel that anymore. But that's another thing that really annoys me. You don't realise how big of a role somebody plays in your life until they're gone, and you take people for granted. I'm gonna keep going. Tears and all. I'm gonna keep going. Just to get it all sort of out. But for a while it was really weird. Like, me and my mum both kept saying like, she's not dead, and I don't know if that's just the denial part of grief, because like I was saying, my counsellor said like there's no right way to grieve, and I was angry at first, and then I've become really calm and sort of accepted it, and then now I'm sort of like in the denial stage because of this sort of like lack of routine, lack of normality, and it didn't feel like she was dead. I could still feel her presence. And I don't know if anybody believes in sort of like numerology or like angel numbers, but ever since she died, I just keep seeing like double numbers, like 11, 11, 17, 17, 21, 21. And last night I saw 23, 23. My phone battery had 23%, and my birthday is 23, so that's the significance of it. So I still feel a presence, and you might think I'm daft for believing in numbers and stuff like that, but like I said, ever since she's passed, I've just kept seeing double numbers. And I had a few dreams about her as well. I don't know why, but when I was at uni, like, I always used to, she was quite technically savvy at times. She knew how to work WhatsApp and stuff like that, and she was like the coolest grandma I could have ever asked for. And I used to ring her on WhatsApp when I was at uni and stuff, and talk to her. And in these dreams, like one of them, she was like showing me these like bracelets, and I was like looking like online, like I was looking at like a web browser, and they were like gold, and it was like a green gemstone. I think it was like aventurine, and she was showing me these, and I don't know why. I don't know if she wanted me to buy them, or because when she passed, I found some earrings that were from when she went to China, and they were, I think, aventurine in that stone. So I don't know if she's trying to tell me like that there's a matching bracelet, or whether if I should get a matching bracelet, or I don't know. But anyway, she was showing me this, and then all of a sudden we were like on this sort of like farm, and I just remember this like wooden panel, and there was these gorgeous flowers that were growing up this sort of panel, and they were beautiful. And I remember sort of like walking to this sort of like stables, and there was like my phone on the ground. And when I picked it up, she was like on this like video call, and we'd talk, and I couldn't remember what the conversation was, but I always remember the ending of it, and I always say to her like, how long do I have left with you? Like, how long do I get to talk to you like this? And then every time I ask her that, she goes, "Oh, I'm gonna have to go now. Like, I'll see you later." And then she hangs up. And I had a sort of a very similar dream. Sort of a couple of days after, I was walking through these sort of like woods, and I was walking with a group of people, and there was two sort of paths, and one of them was like veering to the left hand side, and these other sort of like hikers like were going that way through the woodland. And then there was this path to the right that was a sort of like gap in between the trees in these woods, and my intuition, my gut was saying, go to it, follow it. So I did. So I followed it, this sort of like opening, and as I went through, I was walking through this field, because I'd met like the edge of the woods, and there was this field, and it was filled with like really lush green grass, and in the middle of this field there was this massive oak tree, and there it stood. And as I walked up to it, kind of like the I don't know what they're called. They're sort of like, like the hollow bits of trees, where they're like sort of circular, and they've got like a little bit of a, they are still like wood, but anyway, there was like one of them at like the bottom of it, and you know how it's kind of like people put like fairy doors at the bottom of them and things like that. At the bottom of this tree there was sort of like a gap in it, and then there was my phone led like against it, like supporting it, and my grandma was on the phone, and I was talking to her again, and then like I said, the same thing was, how long do I get with you? And then she went, "Oh, I'm gonna have to go now." And that's it. And it's just, I wake myself up sometimes sort of like crying, but I don't know why I'm crying, and then I go like back to sleep, and then I just end up dreaming of nothing, and then I wake up sort of fine. So it's like my body takes that extra sort of like hour, couple of hours to sort of like process everything, and then go back to sleep. But I miss her so much. I really, really do. And I don't know if these dreams mean anything. I don't know if that's the way that she sort of speaks to me and contacts me. I haven't had one of them for a long time now. I'd say probably about 2-3 weeks. But it's weird because my mum had a similar dream. We're both kind of like sort of like connected on that wavelength. And she had one that my grandma like appeared to her in sort of like all white, and my grandma had a tan, and she looked like she'd been on holiday or something like quite exotic, and she was like had these like white sort of robes on there with like sort of like Aztec sort of print gold on the sleeves that were like woven, and she had this like shawl on, and it was like really, she said it was really like angelic and sort of like heavenly. And she sort of appeared to her, and I can't remember what she said, but that was it. She wanted my mum to go back to the house, because like where my grandma lived, like they were clearing it out, and I know this is going to sound a bit daft, but she wanted my mum to keep these DVDs. I think that's what she said in her dream. But like, why would something so random like that, DVDs, like be on my mum's mind? Like, I genuinely think that this is my grandma's way of having a sort of connection to us, and it's really, really beautiful. It might just be that we're just having these dreams because we're subconsciously thinking about it. I don't know. I don't have the answers, but if that keeps me a little bit more sort of grounded and a little bit happier, then sort of like believing that. But yeah, so it's really weird, his grief, because it just sort of hits you in sort of waves, and this is the first sort of immediate death in my family. My granddad died when I was 6, but you know, I was so young, I don't really remember it. And you know, I think when you're older, I think it affects you a lot more, because you know, you appreciate them, you know, get to know more about them and their life, and you know what they've been through, and this story. And my grandma's such an inspiration. Like, she was adopted. She never met. No, she did meet her dad, actually. She did meet her dad. She only met him, I think, twice. And when she was a baby, like, he tried to throw her on the fire. That's how, like, you know, messed up he was. Like, I think her mum was 17 when she had my grandma. And back in sort of that time, it was like, you know, out of wedlock, and it was really sort of bad and things like that. But no, my grandma was, I think she was adopted. No, she went to live with her grandmother. That was it. She went to live with her grandmother. So she was kind of like adopted by her, but you know, she's been through sort of so much in her life. She had breast cancer, and she got over that, and you know, there's loads of different stuff, but I just admire her sort of like passion for life, and just this drive to just carry on, and I think that's where I get it from as well. And I miss that. I miss her presence. I miss her, you know. She was an Aries. She's an Aries like me. You know, you've got that kind of very serious and bold side, but then at the same time you could be quite sort of like childlike. And she did have a sort of childish side to her, but it was funny. And I'm just glad I got to meet her, really. I'm glad that I was sort of like blessed to call her my grandma, to be honest. So, yeah. But like I was saying, grief hits you in waves. Like, I haven't cried about her in sort of like a couple of weeks, about 2 weeks. I've not cried up until now. Oh, excuse me, that was that was a big thing, but a big sniffle. I can't think of the word. This is, honestly, I genuinely think it's a proper thing. This is lockdown brain. That's what I'm gonna call it from now on, like lockdown brain. I can't think of like some words, and my mind will just, like, my train of thought's just completely gone. But yeah, sort of, I haven't cried in about 2 or 3 weeks about it, because I've sort of made peace with a lot of things. And my mum sent me like one of, because she was, like I said, she was quite technically savvy. She had Instagram. She was quite cool. She used to dye her hair different colours, like pink and blues, and you know, all sorts. And she liked one of my Instagram pictures, and my mum said in this message, like, you know, she'd have been really proud of you for doing this podcast, and you know, she's sort of like always looking. It just hit me. I was just overwhelmed by everything, and just everything just came sort of like flooding back, and it was just sort of like this sense of like happiness and sort of like, you know, relief. Like, I could feel how proud she was, you know, of me doing this, and that's all I want, to do her proud. And sometimes it upsets me that, you know, she's not going to see my children, and she's not going to, you know, hopefully, if I have any, she's not going to see me graduate uni, and you know, I just like to think that she's sort of like always there, which, you know, I never really understood grief and how other people grieve, but everybody does it differently, and you know, and that's okay too. But it's a weird thing. Like, my counsellor explained to me that, you know, like at the minute when I first went back and everything was still quite fresh, and it was only been like 3 weeks, that, you know, think of it like a red ball in a box, and it's kind of like the size of a beach ball, and there's a little sort of like pain button in like the bottom corner, and every time obviously the ball sort of rolls, it hits this paint button, and obviously the like sort of like fresher that it is, and you know, the bigger that this ball is going to be, and it's going to hit this sort of paint button more and more often, but over time it'll soon sort of like deflate, and when this box is moved or the ball begins to roll, it's not going to hit the paint button as often because obviously it's smaller. Which it still does hit that button, like I said, every now and again, but you know, it gets easier. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. Thank you for listening again to my podcast, and I'll see you in the next episode. Okay, see you later. Bye.